Hey YouTube, how is it going? I hope all is well. Offset, good to see you. Thank you for coming in. For those of you who are new here, thank you for coming in. And for all those of you who have yet to say anything, thank you for coming in. Today we're just going to do a quick little recap. We're going to kind of get some preparation done on the power transformer. We'll probably press all the turrets into this guy here, and we'll probably just get all the parts fitted. We're only going to try to take up a few hours. We're not going to do a marathon like we did yesterday with, 6.5 hours or whatever. Hey, that guitar guy, how's it going there, my man? So yeah, we're just going to try to get some stuff done. Now, I did do some more work off camera, just kind of some tidying up, did some more mathing and stuff like that. I got some, plastic shims and put a washer down so I can tighten these up while we wait for the correct size bolts to come in. That's just to allow me to get this thing kind of in there and placed. I also added the turret here because why not? I was already messing with these, so I did that. Another thing you may have noticed is I exchanged the position of those. It was just going to work out a little bit easier to move this guy to that position and put the fuse there. You can also see I've added some things for some holes. Those are going to be for these guys here. So this is for the biasing system and whatnot. So what we're going to do with that to try to help you visualize it a little bit more is this guy here for the HT will go right there. Makes sense. And then what we'll do is we'll have the ground go there, and then we'll put each of the reds next to their respective adjuster, if you will. So that's where that's gonna go. I did check these out a little bit more. I think I'm gonna take these and undo what I kind of did with them. I put like a little washer behind there, but I don't think I'm gonna need it. I think it'd suit me best if these were flush against the thing. Little things like that. It's just more planning, a little bit more preparation. So I'm gonna set this aside for a moment because another part of what we got going on today, some other stuff that I've done, as you can see here, I've done some work on this guy. Unfortunately, Hammond likes to paint the leads on these things with dark paint, black paint or whatever it is, so I had to scrape all that off and just getting these prepped. But what we're going to do today is cut these leads a little bit shorter here. We're going to cap them off with some shrink tubing, and then we'll tuck the unused leads into the bells there. So we'll get this finished prepping up. Another thing I did today earlier was get this guy here all kind of prepped and ready to go. So I painted the bottom and yada yada yada, and then of course managed to freaking you can't really know unless that's helped with the right one. I managed to ding it up, darn it. It's kind of tough to see it, but it is there. It is a bummer. So I'm gonna have to figure out how to do a little bit of repair work, but this thing is at least ready to get placed, sans cutting out the holes in the insulation sheet there. Let's get our Dr. Pepper. Sounds like Netchie is soon to depart the village. Second time she's been caught being a troll. I don't really know a whole hell of a lot about what's going on with that. I was talking a little bit with Andy. I really tried not to bring, those things over here. I know of what's going on. I think I saw a little bit of what was going on earlier, but I'm not that worried about it. I think she'll be just fine. I know she doesn't like me, so it's non-incidental to me. It's a bummer that kind of stuff goes on in the background anyway, but I don't involve myself with that kind of stuff. So anyway, I'm just happy you guys are here. I'm happy to be doing what I'm doing, and I just want to have fun. So, so anyway, let's kind of get prepped up a little bit here. So let's talk a little bit about what my plan is here. You can see that these things here are just kind of sticking out just a little bit. More or less all I did was I just wrapped it around and then stuffed it in there. But I got to finish pushing it in the rest of the way. But what we're going to do is cut them just a little bit shorter once I get those. And then we're going to cap it off with this stuff here. Now, I like this 3-to-1 ratio stuff here. Chanson this stuff isn't horrible. What I do like about this is that it is the glue. It's got the glue in the inside section there, right? So when you shrink it down, it not only shrinks 3-to-1, so it gets pretty freaking small, but it will adhere itself to whatever it is that you've done in that regard, and that makes it really nice. Except for the downside is this stuff is very, very stiff. So we're gonna make it work. We're gonna use it on these guys. I will show you kind of how I do it, I guess. I don't know. It's a way to do it, but more or less you just cut the tip off, right? Leaving nothing there, and just a little bit each. Now, we're not really worried about these things kind of like touching anything, I guess you could say, but what we want to do is to have enough where we know that it'll adhere itself and stick to the lead, and then we want to be able to fold it back on itself so we can put a second one over the top of that and then crimp that all together. What we want to make sure that never can happen is that for these leads to get something in there and touch anything. They're okay floating around, but definitely don't want anything getting in there and touching anything. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna come up with some rando length here. I think this ought to be long enough. And I'm gonna replicate that a few more times, at least half a dozen more times. I'm gonna do it this way. And let's just kind of create some whatchamacallits. Yeah, I did it this way, I guess. I don't know. So I've got how many leaves do I got to do? 1, 2, 3. Looks like 4, 5, 6, 7. So I've got a few more to make here. And then I still got to do the one that goes over the top of it. So I'm trying a new one here later on for this build. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's a real show already. Dr. Pepper burps coming in for the win. So I'm going to try this stuff here. It's made by Cube Filler or something like that. This is also the 3-to-1, and I believe it also does have the, let's see here, flame retardant, chemical resistant, adhesive. It has the adhesive. The adhesive is nice just because you know that once you lock that thing down, it is not going anywhere. But in either case, let's move this thing over a little bit and get kind of prepped up for that. So I'm just going to stick it on there a little ways. I shoot for about halfway. That'll work. And I got my trusty heat gun here. And let's just heat it up and string it on there. Now the only downside of this stuff here is that it does take... I put it a little further down than I wanted. It's alright. With as much as I put on there, I probably could have just like pinched it off. I'm just gonna cheat a little bit and do something like this. And then we're just gonna fold it back on itself like that. And I don't know that this stuff here will fit over the top of it anymore. It will not. So we'll have to use a different one. The bigger version of this stuff here to go over the top of that. So you can see it takes up a little bit of room. I'm probably not doing it exactly the ideal way, but whatever. I'm just gonna do this here. It's all good. I'm a little bit brutal when it comes to shrink wrap. I tend to use more than I probably need, for no other reason than, whatever. And I didn't get that length very well. Yesterday was brutal. For those of you who were here yesterday, you kind of saw it was a little less than fun for some of it. I did go back and tighten up some of the, like straighten out some of those things that I was hemming and hawing about. So the tube sockets, I took a couple of them out and recentered them a little bit better, I guess, if you will. Because it had to be done. It just had to be done. I'm going to get this one cut a little bit better this time. Yeah, the glue is pretty sticky. There we go. See, ow. It's still pretty hot. That's the downside to the glue, is it definitely it sticks. And it gets all over the place, and it stays hot for a really long time. So let's get the other size of this stuff here that I was talking about. So I try to get as few a number of sizes as I can. The nice thing is this stuff is 3-to-1, so that's why I get the 3-to-1, so that way I can just use a larger size and have it shrink down to where I want it. But so let's see here, we just need it to be about yay long. So we're just gonna make it yay long. And let's just cut off a bunch of those. And that's the one I want to keep. So that time change, geez Louise, I don't know if that's it must be a countrywide thing or something. I thought we have voted several times for that to go away. Sorry, I'm a little off camera here, but I know that we voted at least a few times for not doing that anymore. I still don't understand how it is that we're doing it, because I know that we affirmed abolishing that silliness. But yet here we are, waking up an hour earlier than we need to on a Sunday. So it is a little bit big and bulbous, but it's the safest way to do this, especially with those guys there. Those are heaters, so those things carry quite a bit of current, and we do not want any of those. We don't want any of these leads getting in touch with anything else. Well, thank you. I appreciate it, you guys. All right. We're just gonna keep blasting through this here. I'm not gonna try to take too long explaining all this crap, but hey, Vessel, how's it going, my man? I'm not going to try to lollygag too much today, but let's see here. These are all kind of done up, so that's good. Let's turn this around. Let's see how we're going to stuff these things in the hole here. Ooh, it's still a little warm. Let's wait a second. Let that cool off. I just don't want to burn my fingers. The downside is this glue. That glue stays hot for a long time. And it will stick to anything else that it touches, too. Well, let's see here. Well, we can at least get these other ones kind of rolling here. Boop. Alrighty. Yeah, I made these things like way too freaking long. It's all good. All good in the hood. Alright, so that is about there. Been shaky the last couple of days. I don't know what the hell is going on. I'm fine. I've eaten. Maybe I need to eat more. I don't know. Maybe I've got a neurological disease I don't know about. I don't know. It's needless. I don't know. right about there. Says, do you find twisting the heater wires makes a difference with... You know, I don't really ever have a problem with hum anyway. Does it make a difference? I'm sure it does. I know that they say that that is, you know, the proper way to do it is to twist them and all that jazz. Although I've built a few amps purposely trying to see what the limitations are, and I have untwisted, like, you know, I just run straight across and whatnot, and I didn't have any problems with those amps either, just running it untwisted the whole way. So I don't know. In theory, yes, it is important and you should do it, but it doesn't seem to be as bad as it could be. But caveat emptor on that is I don't usually make high gain amps. So, and by high gain, I mean, you know, I'm not generally doing 10 stages of gain or something like that. So I may not have found that weakness yet. Which is to just say that I don't have enough gain stages to amplify the noise that could be there. That's all. So I'd say it is best to twist them and not tempt fate. Fair enough? Come on, baby. There it goes. I am glad to see this in action. I'm kind of starting to get a little frustrated with myself because I keep finding ways to like make this more difficult for myself, it seems. This morning when I was painting the thing, I got some overspray through the tape. Like there was a little spot in the tape, and it ran down the tape into the thing and got onto the actual front side. Go figure. And then of course when I go to clean it off, it mars up my paint job, and it's just like, really? Are you freaking kidding me? So sometimes you just can't win. I think you could just see, well, maybe you could see it. I don't know if you did or not, but you should probably have seen how that thing just shrunk. This 3-to-1 stuff is amazeballs. I love the 3-to-1. So if you're in the market for shrink tubing and you don't know what type to get, that 2-to-1 stuff, forget it. Most all of the 3-to-1 though comes with the adhesive in it. Now, the adhesive is great because it makes it stay put and it kind of waterproofs the connection and all that jazz. But when you fudge it up, and I guess I cut a couple more than I needed. Oh no, never mind. When you fudge it up and you have to remove that shrink tubing, good luck. Thanks. But it's just crazy to think like this heat shrink tubing was big enough to go over all that big old fat thing right there and shrink all the way back to the wire. So that's why I like this 3-to-1 so much. Eventually I'll stop going on about this 3-to-1. think that's it for the heat shrinking for a while. Let's get this stuff here cleaned up and out of the way. Now, if you do end up with a little chunk like this left over, save those. I'm into spending money just as much as the next guy on silly stuff, but if you can save a penny, do it. All right, so let's let those ones cool off a little bit more. Let's get this side here stuffed inside somehow. I get the feeling I'm going to have to do it kind of like one by one. I probably should have cut them a little bit shorter, but I know that they're going to go in there. And I'm not really worried about where they go in there, as long as they are in there. Those are not going to be used. So now the reason I opted to keep them and kind of have them just floating around is just in case. Just in case somebody decides later on. That, and you got to stuff the wire somewhere. So you may as well stuff it back in the hole whence it came, I guess. Just getting rid of some more of this stuff there. You can, I don't know if you can see it or not. You probably can't, but like the little black chip right there. That is the love of Hammond right there, making it so that everyone else knows that it's obviously a homebrew kit. I hit him up, I think I've said it in other videos, but I've hit him up about removing it for me or not putting it on, and they said it's part of the varnishing process, and that if they don't do it, they won't varnish it, and if they don't varnish the transformer, they won't warranty it. And I was just like, well, that doesn't help me one bit whatsoever, and that's not exactly what I meant, but I didn't argue with them anymore about it. It was just kind of like, okay, it's obvious that it's part of their process and they're going to do it whether I want them to or not. There we go. So power side of things is going to be really light. So I did pre-twist these guys, but they'll come out of the thing and go, these are actually the long runs here. So let me explain another thing here. Part of my other thought process on heaters and stuff like that. So objectively, you want to keep the noisiest stuff to be as short as possible, right? Or as short as practical. So if I were to run this, like imagine this is, see that freaking stuff gets everywhere. That's that freaking crap that was on the wires. Anyway, let's imagine this is inside of or on top of the chassis or whatever. And these are AC lines, right? This is the primary side of the power transformer. Really, really short run in that case, right? These are all the noisy parts right here. So we've got a bias supply tap there. That is technically a secondary. We've got our HT supply, which is also our secondary. And we've got the green ones here, which is our heaters. So if we folded these over and ran them over like that or whatever we had to do, these things now become one of the longest runs inside the amp. That means there's that much more length of this noisy thing running around in our amps. That is why I do not like using 6.3 volt pilot lamps. Because what does everybody do? They take the noisiest thing in the amp and they run it from the back side of the amp all the way to the front and sometimes back around again. It just depends on how they do it. But some of them, like it literally, you end up running at least twice the noisiest thing in that amp across the amp. It makes no sense to me. So I run my pilot lights off of 120 volts. Hopefully people know that when they go, I guess if they stick a 6.3 volt bulb in there, they'll know right away because it'll just go poof and evaporate. But in this case here, just know if you're the winner of this amp, that is a 120 volt bulb. Just when you peel it out of there, look at it. It's like a BA9 style thing. It fits in there just like a normal BA9 would, but you got to get the 120 volt style. And there are two different types that I know of. There's the incandescent one. which you can still get. I have quite a few of them myself, and there's also an LED version that you can get. I don't like the LED version, mainly because it's just really, really bright, and like really, really bright. So yeah, that's what we're going over with. And I thought about going with just like a normal pilot light, like a small LED or something like that. To me, this looks more finished and it's more substantial. I also like that because it actually is a bulb, it's replaceable. So it's not like those pilot lamps that you get for like a Marshall, where when it goes out, like you have to figure out how to get the damn thing out of there, because those are the ones that use that press-on thing. So you can't just peel it off. You kind of have to break it off, and then you got to replace the damn thing. This one here, I like the replaceability, right? Repairability. That's the predominant reason. But then, yeah, it's just, you can use LED and you can use incandescent. It's just pick one, right? Speaking of which, now that we're kind of getting in on this, I'm shocked. Oh, there he is. I was just about to go on about Grant. Riley is in here as well. Thank you. All right. Sorry, I didn't mean to yell at you. Yeah, we still need to come up with a name. And we still need to come up with some little particulars, like our faceplate colors, our jewel lamp color, stuff like that. So we need to figure all that stuff out. So the way I prefer to run, going back to where we started anyway, is I prefer to run the trannies in this orientation here, where all the HT stuff, all the noisiest things, are to the back of the amp. Now, here's what's kind of cool about how this all worked out for me. There's been a bunch of happy accidents with this thing. Let me get my pointer. Maybe it'll make it easier to see. Maybe it won't. I won't have my fat fingers in there. So right here is where our HT is going to come in, and right there is where our bias voltage is going to come in. Look how close it is to the entry right there. Our heaters are going to come in right here. They're going to fold and just cruise on over to here. They're going to get to this guy, and then they're going to zoop back around and over, and then all the way, yeah, right? So the noisiest stuff in the amp is towards the back. That is the way I try to do it. These guys here, I haven't quite figured out where we're going to go with these yet. We got some more planning to do. I kind of want to do the ground somewhere in the middle here, but there's like a practical limitation. I pretty much can't get anything past this guy here. So I would have to literally put the ground point like right down in there. And that is where we would ground the center taps, and it would also be where we ground coming off of the boards over here and stuff. We try to be efficient. It's short, like everything's pretty freaking short and just sensical. When we go back and look at the layout a little bit more, you'll kind of get more of an idea of why I do the layout the way that I do for the turrets and stuff like that. Some of it is more or less about 100% efficiency or minimizing like crisscross. Like, it's one thing to like keep the wire lengths as short as it possibly can, but it really doesn't matter if the length of wire is only 1/4 of an inch long or 1/2 an inch long or whatever, you know, but it's ran next to something or has something else going across it that's going to inject noise into it. I'm really going to be in trouble if there's any kind of noise injection on this thing, because all these runs are so close together. So I wouldn't call this a high watt. Like, the power section and the pi are high watt, but that's really about it. So it's just the output section that's pi, or high watt, excuse me. So all right, so we are done with this guy. We are done with these guys. Let me put those away. And let's do some more cleanup here. I got a couple weeds that I don't need. We're going to set this aside and make it so you can see my logo. You got to see the logo and my little cat. I love how my cat winks. My cat winks back. All right. I'm not too worried about getting to this one today. I think what I'm looking to do today is just get this one pressed out and get all the fittings done up. We're kind of at a standstill right now. The words, I'm trying to use words here, but I'm not having much luck. The bolts that I got are just an iota too long. they will work, but it's like really close to the degree where you can push down on this and it will cause it to touch the bolt, and it's in a very touchy spot, so I don't want to be that close. I have Captain tape. We can put Captain tape on the bottom of this, and that will help keep it from being a possibility of shorting. Obviously, I don't see this thing vibrating enough to actually, you know, work out that 1/8 inch gap that there might be. But hey, Bindi, how's it going? Good to see you. I am probably gonna just do a shorter bolt, and I still want it to be long enough to get through the, you know, the section that it needs to on the locking washer, but just a little bit shorter bolt. So I got some of that coming. I have some other parts that are on their way, like the shorter bolts here. So we've just got a couple things that we're kind of on hiatus for. I will pretty much end up having to take everything that's in here out again anyway, because there are some things that we've got to do before we can even start putting all the hard parts in. We've got all the test fitting done. We know it's going to work. That's the important part. But I have to run all of the heater wires, so these guys are going to come out and all that jazz. I got to run the heater wires though. Just a bunch of little things. There's a way that we're going to have to do things for the back section here, because I do have to run wire along the back here. So I got to come up with a plan on how that's going to get done. So that's going to change the order and how these things will go back in. Just a bunch of little things. Most of it just comes down to process. But this guy right here, let's get that filled up. So we're going to need some turrets. That's my turrets for the day. That was me yesterday. I had serious turrets yesterday. So the only downside, so if you look down there, I don't know if you can see. You really can't tell. Maybe you can if I put them in my hand. No, you really can't. So I order from Antique Electronic Supply, and you really just can't tell. So to my eye, there's like 3 different colors. There's this one here, which to me looks like a kind of like a darker color, like a dark gray. There's this one here, which I guess maybe it is just the light. It must be just the light, because every time I get them in the same orientation, they look the same. It has to be the light then. Oh, no, that one looks different. Okay, so these two look different to me. Like one's shinier, but darker in color, like a darker gray, and then the other one looks like it's like more silver. And I ordered them from the same place, and you can kind of tell in there too. You can kind of see the one on the left looks like a darker gray, and the one on the right is just a little bit more aluminum color or silver color. I don't know what it is. I ordered them from the same place, same time. Is what it is. Once they get installed, though, it doesn't seem to be too problematic. That's not going to be enough. I can already tell. I'm looking at that count, and I can see there's not enough. No. Now we got enough. I think that's enough. All right. So I've got this guy here. This is my turret press. I actually have a video on this guy, so if you're interested in how I made this, check it out. Yeah, maybe that's what it is. It could be the electroplating. Amplified parts, yeah. Well, I can't get them from, I don't know where else to get them that is any better than what I get here. But yeah, amplified parts, that's where I get them from. I mean, it's not that they're bad. Once they're on the amp and like pressed in, you can't tell. Like the color changes enough after you heat it up and put the solder on that it's not like you're going to sit there and look at it and go, that one's a little bit different than that one. But this guy here works pretty good. I'm probably going to make another version that I can use in the press, because this one here, I'll have a blister on my hand by the time I'm done with this project. But so what you do is you go to Harbor Freight and they have this watch face press. That's what this is a watch face press. And then you basically core out the piece that's here and the thing on the bottom. And I put the anvil on the top. Is that the right way? Anvil? No. The anvil goes on the bottom, the part that actually swedges it out. And then I put the base or whatever that holds the turret on the top. So the turret will go in there like so, where the bottom is, this is the bottom. And then when you push it down, it'll squeeze it together. So let me do myself a favor here. And I'm going to call up my drawing here. I'm going to put it up on the other screen. I apologize if it looks like I'm not paying attention to you because I'm looking at other screens. But this is the orientation that is going in there. I have determined that I am going to run a slightly shorter thing here. So I'm going to make this one pretty tight, but I'm using parts that I know will fit. So this is one of those times if you're... if I could find the box that it's in. There we are. So again, it's best to have all the parts that you intend to use out and available before you kind of solidify some of this stuff. So this is the Vichy bypass cap that I have. You can see it's pretty small. This is a 4.7 UF, and you can see it fits quite nicely in between those parts right there. So you want to know for a fact that the part you're going to use is going to fit. And let me tell you why. Let me show you why. I'm going to show you two capacitors that are freaking-normous. Freaking-normous. So I like using the Zoso stuff. You can use whatever you want. I am pretty agnostic when it comes to these. I like these because they're just inarguably good, right? The Mallory / Vichy ones, those are fine too. And they're probably half the price, if not cheaper than these. So you don't have to use Zoso and all those other, you know, orange caps, all those expensive ones to get a good sounding amp. These sound good and they're of inarguable quality. The Jupiters, I would love to use the Jupiters once just to try them out, but they are so expensive. They're almost twice as expensive as these things, and I don't think they sound twice as good. Maybe they're not twice as expensive, but they're still more expensive than these, and I don't know that they're all that much better. But as you can see, this guy's pretty big. So on this board here, it takes up a lot of real estate. So you kind of got to know for sure that it's going to fit. And if you look here, you can see that you need roughly 5 turrets worth of space. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you got to know that these are going to fit in some of these places. Now this guy is just really big and round. So this is a .068. Yeah, 684. So this is a .068, or no, excuse me, a .68 UF. So this is like what you would use for a bypass cap in like a Marshall. Now this is a non-electrolytic, so it's or non-polarized, if you will. That's why it's so big. That's why they use those polarized caps a lot, because the polarized caps, you can get them a lot smaller. The downside with the polarized caps is you do have to mind the orientation. This one, it does not matter which direction you put it. It doesn't care. But that's all. That's all that point was to make, was just make sure you know that everything's going to fit. Anyway, so I'm going to put that there. These guys are going to go here. Like that. And I kind of just put these in all at once just because it just makes life easier. For me, at least, anyway, it seems to. So I'm just going to kind of do this here. I'll try not to talk too much, but I'll kind of explain what the hell's going on if I can. You'll probably notice that I leave a whole row on either side of that guy. So that one is going to be a 22 UF. And I'll show you a 47 UF as well. But so these are the F&Ts here. I like F&Ts. They're not exorbitantly expensive and they're pretty dang good, to be honest. But you can see that when you set that thing there, it pretty much eats up a whole row on either side of it. And 22 UF is actually pretty small. Now, the reason I'm starting to use more of these 47 UFs is that they are pretty much the same size as the 22s. but they've got more than double the amount of capacitance in them. So these 47s are nice because they take up essentially the same real estate, and you know, I can lay out the turret board almost identical to using a 22 UF. So this particular amp here is going to have a fair amount of capacitance in it, certainly more than it needs to have. It will be stiff. This thing will be unforgiving, to say the least. Whatever it is you're playing, you're going to hear it. So I'm just kind of racing through here now. I like doing it this way. I like putting them in their spot ahead of time just because. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No other reason than it just, I don't know. No other reason than it just helps you see it and visualize it. That is it. That is all. So let's see here. I'm pretty sure that's going to go there, and we're going to have a bunch that go in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I can't see your comments because I didn't bring up the dock. Hold on a second here. I'm covering the other page right now. Sorry. Give the Nicholson FG radials a go for the bypass cap. Really cheap, but they sound fantastic. Ooh. The Jupiter point are big. Yeah, they are big for sure. Okay. Mouser does the Keystone brand. But the cheap Chinese ones are pretty good. These ones aren't bad. It's just they have like slightly different colors, which is just a little concerning, I guess. I guess not concerning. Concerning is not the word. It's just, you know, when you're trying to make the best possible product that you can possibly make, it just seems kind of, yeah, you know. Pretty sure these are going to go here. And I must have done some sort of math wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Because I should have 4 tall here. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. And according to this, oh, no, I just brain farted is all. That does go there. No, those can't, that can't be. Oh, I think that's what it is. Those go like that. That's where I went wrong. This goes like that. Which does mean that this one goes over here. Yes, that is correct. That goes there. Let me skip one. Then we go somewhere in the middle here. I guess it would be helpful if you could. You can't. Damn. Hold on. Let me see if I can make this make sense to you. Give me just a second here while we make this possible. So I'm gonna go and bring up the display. This is what I'm looking at here. I'm gonna shrink this down to hopefully help it make sense to what it is I'm actually looking at. So I think you can see all this space I'm moving around. Whatever. That's where it's gonna go. All right. You see that? I hope that. Yeah. Perfect. That should work. Okay. So that's what I'm looking at. I hope that makes sense. And pretty much this whole bottom row gets filled up. So now you kind of see why I do it ahead of time, though. It's just to kind of confirm before I lock in on anything that it's going to work. So I got one more here, and we got a little space there. We got one that goes there for a fact. And we're going to skip 2. We're pretty much going to do the 3 there. Skip 1. 1 here. Skip 1. We're going to do 3 in a row there. Okay. And then we come down to this second row here. Looks like we're going to have one here. One that goes to that space there. That is that. That makes sense. So we're going to have, we skip that spot. We should have 3 in a row. Yes, that is correct. And then we go basically every other one all the way across. That is correct. And then that one goes up 2. And then we go back on down. Pretty much all the way across. All kinds of these little boogers in here. She gonna be tight. I'm telling you, man, she gonna be tight. Tight like a toiga. And we go all the way, we skip one and we go to that. Now, I think we've got a couple others that go down in here. So I believe it is, let's see here. That's the wide one. Did that one. This one here, I think, is the one that gets 2. Like that. And then there's another one that goes right here on that. I might have grabbed a pinch more than I needed, but let's just go back through and double check on some things. So we got these ends here. We are going to have one here. Oh, no, that's right. That one's our jump that goes to that. We've got those 2, those 3. That goes to those 2. That goes there and there. There's that hole in the middle there. So these ones are a little confusing here because they jump across. So let me kind of show you what's going on there. Because it can look confusing at first when you're looking at it. I'm sorry if this is boring. I know this isn't very exciting, but this is what goes into it. So this guy is going to sit like right there, right? Ugh. Maybe. Anyway, it's going to sit right there. But from there to there is where one of those resistors are going to go, and that's where the other resistor is going to go. It is kind of an interesting way to jump them across, but you can kind of see here what I'm talking about there, how they just kind of jump across. So I'm just kind of doing a once over here to make sure everything is correct. And I think we're in a good place. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. I think we're good. All right. So this is it. These are spares right now. I grabbed a couple more than I thought, or a couple more than actually needed. So first and foremost, now, well, here, let's get this thing out of the way now. So we don't need the display capture anymore. All right, let's see here. Let's take a little sippy poo. Got to keep those Dr. Pepper burps coming. I'm just going to get brave. I'm going to just go for it. That's the only downside to this, is that you end up with situations like that where you bump it just a little too hard. And then I've had it before where you knock it out completely. And yeah, okay, that one's in. That one's in. You little. You can do this pretty quick once you get a good rhythm going and you stop knocking them out of their freaking little. You! Well, so much for that. So much for that rhythm there. Golly. And we skip 2. It's great. Now I got to figure out where they'll go back. There's still 2 that are going somewhere. It looks like one of them went here. And the other one went there. Something like that. Well, when we get back over there, we'll confirm a little bit more. So all these ones here are locked in. I think I got that one. Let's go ahead and get some on this side here. the more turrets you have, the more difficult this tends to be. Most of my boards don't have this number of turrets. I'm just going to leave those off for now. I'm not going to bother. It's apparent that this is going to be a challenge for us. I got that one. Starting to get warm up in here. It's pretty cool earlier. Sorry, this is not exactly exciting. My apologies. This part here is like walking and chewing bubble gum, because you're literally trying to do two things at once. It's like using all sides of your brain. It's like patting your tummy and rubbing your head at the same time, type thing almost. Almost, anyway. Let's get some more done on this side here. I think it did some of these. This is the most amount of fucking possible fun you can have on a Sunday. I promise you. There is nothing you could be doing that's better than watching me do this. What I like about those Nishikons, just rip them out and put a higher value in, say 1 UF or 2F. Yeah. That is a fact, Jack. I actually, the Nishikons aren't, I don't mind them at all. All right, let's get caught back up here again and make sure I'm not crazy. I want to make sure I got all these things in place. So this one goes here. And then these three go there. So not many came out that time. And we should skip one, and then we have one. And we got 1, 2, 3. Yes. Yeah, okay, we're looking good again. All right. There we go. The mail person's here. I probably have another package right now. At least I should. I have a couple things showing up today. Come on. Let's get the ends here because these are starting to bug me a little bit. So I'm going to show you a trick once we get this done here that I think will help a little bit later on with microphonics and other weird little gremlins that you might come across. I've had incidents before where I had just some weirdness, but I'll show you what I mean here in a minute. And unfortunately, there's no way to fix it once you actually put the board together, so you just kind of got to work around it a different way, but it'll make sense in a minute here once I finish. And I can already feel my hands starting to... You may already notice and probably already get an idea of what I'm about to talk about. But, okay, so that's all the turrets pressed right now. That did not take that long, but... Oh, this one came out pretty good. There's one, you can hear it. You hear that? That little rattle? I hope you can hear that. So there's a turret on here that's not pressed all the way. And it's kind of a pain in the butt to find it because you got to go through and like wiggle them all. And even sometimes wiggling it won't expose it. But one of these turrets is rattling a little free. And if it is rattling free like that, you can end up in an instance where it'll like oscillate when you get the parts on it. And I cannot tell which one it is. It feels like it's on the end. I think it's this one. I think it's the one there on the corner. No, wasn't that one. It feels like it's on this end when it's rattling. All right, well, we're just going to do it the old-fashioned way. I mean, you shouldn't have to really crush these things like crazy, but you don't want them rattling. It's somewhere. It's one of these. It's in there somewhere. You have to find it, though. You just trust me on that. If you're going to do these, get it so there is no rattling. Got it. Hear it? No longer rattling anymore. There we go. Yay! Just started to get a blister. You can just kind of see it right there. Dang it. That's the only reason I don't like that thing. It's a little hard on the hand sometimes. The things I do for you guys. I love you so much, I'll get a blister for you, almost willingly. I knew it was coming. Alright, so cool. I overshot by a couple pinches there. Okay. Now is a good time to make sure that we did a good job. We're bike spoke nuts. Oh, yeah. Those are cool. That's a way to do it. I remember as a kid putting new spokes on my bike. Just, you know, side story, I guess. Related to that, I guess, if you will. But, all right, so let's bring this back up again so we can just kind of go through it together. So I did move these over here a little bit because these two here, this one's going to stay where it's at, but this one I shrunk it in one because it actually literally lines up right next to that right there. No, you got to get those steel turrets, man. You got to get them pretty freaking hot. These brass ones, not so bad, but these ones are nickel plated, and that helps a lot. So this one is going to be a resistor. That's a cap. This one is our dropper. Resistor. Cap. Resistor. Jumper. Cap. This guy here goes to our dropper. Resistor. Cap. Ooh, did I miss one? I did. I made a boo-boo, methinks. No, I didn't. So I'm trying to visualize things here. I did miss one, though. I'm short one right there. So I'm supposed to have another cap right there. Is there supposed to be another turret? So we got one more to go, and I just heard the mail lady. Maybe you did too. There was a beep. I have a package. So this is going to go right there. Let me double check. I'm looking on a different screen than you guys, but that's that. Yeah, right there. Sorry. See, this is why you got to go through this a few times. Nice. Let me go get my package. I'll be right back. Woohoo! Woo-hoo-hoo. Man, it's beautiful outside today. Here I am in the garage with you guys. What do we got? Where's this thing open at? There we go. We got some felt. So that is going to be for the shield. I can't remember what this is. It's made in China though. Oh, these are more crimp terminals. So these are the other size flag resistors that I got, or crimps that I got. Close. All right, let's see what these look like. So these are the 1/4 inch ones that I got. So that's what that that crimper I got yesterday, that's what those ones are actually meant for, is these 1/4 inch size ones. But I was hoping they kind of come in a better bag, but whatever. Yeah, those things look pretty beefy. A little bit bigger than I thought they'd be. We'll deal with that in a bit. I'm not too concerned with that at the moment. What I'm really kind of looking forward to is this. I don't know how they can say made in China, but it's 3M. So is it fake 3M or is it the real 3M? You tell me. I don't know. I don't know. As long as it sticks, I don't care. But it's just, you know, I bought it because it said 3M. So if this amp is the same, no. But yeah, this is nice. Okay, so this is felt that I got to dampen the inside of this. Also to try to hide some of my ugly ass welds. The sticky stuff on this doesn't stick very well. Luckily that's going down. So this will fit in here like so, and it will dampen the thing so it doesn't ring. Is the same? No, this is definitely not the same as the Peacemaker. The Peacemaker was a 5E3. This guy is a whole different beast. This one's going to be more of a cross between like a, it's kind of got a double topology to it, kind of, but it's going to be kind of my own. Ooh, excuse me. God, those Dr. Pepper burps are kicking in today. It's going to be kind of like a double topology with my own little thing going on. And then, of course, a high watt output section. So it is different. This thing is going to be much, much angrier. So there we have it. I guess you can't really see it now because we got that thing in the way. So there's that. Click. I'm also just going to kind of go through and finish checking out. So I missed that one right there. We got that now. We got those three go in a row. One, we got those three straight down. We got that. Yep, that's looking good. That goes there. Those three. Yep. Okay. At this point, we're kind of just ready to do the underboard like connections. Looks like we've got enough here to start going that way. I don't know if you guys really want to kick with me while I work that out. I know I said I was going to do this live, but you think I'm boring now. Oh my God. Just wait until I'm actually concentrating. Just wait until I'm actually concentrating. So this is my one thing here for some of our wires. I'm just looking to see if there's any that I can reuse. It doesn't look like I have anything in here that's going to do me any good for that. So I'm going to give up on that and go back to my actual wire cabinet over here, which is this one. So I want, I think this, I'm trying to find my currently open wires. I thought I had more ready to use wire than that. Not there. Sorry. I have some wire from other projects out and about, and I'm just trying to find those is all. So I just don't want to waste any more than I need to. That's all. But it's a apparent to me that I must have put it all away, or I'm literally ready to move on. There's a couple things we're going to do that are new today. Oh, there it is. Now I found it. It was buried under, it was hidden underneath something. I was like, so I've got a bunch of wire. So I have a couple of these. There's the black one. There it is. Okay. So there they are. Dun, dun, dun. That's looking good. That's looking good. Yep, that was it. Okay. Okay. So obviously we just want to try to reuse some of the wire that we already have. Those we're not going to bother with. Here's the black of that. Those we're not going to bother with. This, no, we're not going to use that. So this is 20 gauge. I might use these on the heaters for the power tubes. This feels like it's solid core, but it's not. What this is here is this really good silver stranded stuff that I got, and it's pre-tinned, but I have not been able to find any more of this stuff, so obviously we won't really be able to use that. And then this is, so I like using the was it PTFE? It's not PTFE, it's the Teflex is what they call it. So the Teflex works pretty good because it does bend. You know, you can bend it to kind of go where you want it to. It is pre-tinned, but it is individually stranded pre-tinned stuff. So this is the aeronautic grade stuff. This is, what are you? What even are you? I think this is 18. It feels a little bit thicker, but I got to get to the freaking part where it actually shows it. They split it up so far, you can't always see it. So they got writing right there, but it's like missing the part that actually shows what it is. 16-20. I can't tell what you are. You feel like 20 gauge. It is 20 gauge. So this is our 20 gauge. Which means this is probably also 20 gauge. That is also 20 gauge. So that one we're not going to use. We'll use this one. And this one here, I believe, is 20 gauge as well. This is 20 gauge. So those ones we'll use for the heaters for the power tubes. But once we split off from there, we're going to go with this stuff here, which is 22. That is 22. So just to show you what I was looking for the number. I don't know if you can see that. See how it says 22 underneath that 16? So it's 16 strands of 22 gauge. That's the number I was looking for. This, I believe, is just more of that. Yes, it is 22. So we won't need to use that one. I think this one is long enough to get, I think you would agree, it's long enough to get all the way around the amplifier. And then this is our 22. Yeah, this is our 1622 of the black. So we'll use those two for the preamp side of the heaters. So we'll use this for the power tubes, and we'll use the other stuff for the heaters, or for the remainder of the heaters. I'm just going to throw these other bits of wire away. Not away, but back into the drawer. So I got a whole drawer full of wire over here. Oh, missed one. But yeah, I wish I could find this stuff. This stuff is pretty gnarly. Like, it's absolutely stiff. But I have not been able to find another version of it. But that is the full-on pre-tinned, like, good stuff. Now we need, so we've got those for that. We're going to use black for a lot of the jumpers. I need to get another thing of black. No, not black, red. So I need to keep that red out that I had. So we'll use red, and I use red and black for all of my jumpers and stuff like that. Yeah, the rules are in the description. And it's not too crazy. Grant us glorious tone. He was in here earlier. There he is. Yeah. He's got all the details. I am now going to sit down. So hold on a second here while I change my camera view. Bloop. Hey. Just cleaning things up a little bit here. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. All right. Yeah, do take a look, man. Come on in and join us. So this one gets even more fun because now we actually can start looking at things in the mirror and reverse view and stuff like that. Because now this is the actual orientation of it when we're looking down at it. But when we put all those wires on there, it's going to be like that. So completely back asswards. We're going to need some wire cutters. Oh my God, I don't know if I'm really into this today. I hope you guys are. We're going to need an implement. So I usually use those, and then I need wire strippers. Gotta have a stripper in the house at all times. Don't tell the wife. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Dun, 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 dun. Just looking here to make sure there's not going to be any problems. I don't see any problems. So the way that I do it is things that are high tension, I make them red. So the things that are, positive voltage, supposedly, I do in red. And you can kind of see what I'm talking about here. So sorry, I'm not looking up at the camera. I'm looking over at the thing there. But you can see here we got a red wire. It comes up, it shares there, it links back down, and then it jumps back down over to here, etc., etc. And then we got some that runs back. So all of our red wires, this is all of our HT, stays where? It stays very much on its own side of the board. It's all staying right down here. That's the way I try to do these layouts. So all these wires and crissy-crossy things that you see looks disgusting up here. It's going to look a lot better when it's underneath the board and you can't see all that stuff. But you kind of get an idea of how I try to run things. So what I probably will end up doing is see this black wire that's kind of shooting across here all lazily. It's probably going to come down around like this. So we'll start here. We'll come down and shoot all the way up or something like that. So we'll probably even come underneath this one here. That is a ground, so it's not that important, but it's just to keep it from crossing 1, 2, 3, potentially 4 wires. So we want to try to minimize crossing as much as we can. There are a couple that I will not be able, to abate. Now I have some options on it. A thing that I could do is I could run this wire, this red one here that I'm drawing my cursor along. We could run that one around the outside edge here. Now the reason I don't want to do that though is because if you saw how this thing lands, like it's literally right up against the tube sockets. So that would get that just as close to these things here as whatever. So here comes the wife. Hold on just a second. Hey wife. Hi. I'm doing a live. Yeah.
Did Michael call you about grilling?
He did not. Well, he called me, but he didn't say specifically what. What's the plan?
I just got home, so I need to take a shower.
Yeah, you do.
I actually worked. So.
Yeah, you look like you did. You got dirty.
Yeah, it was disgusting. Cleaning out trash cans was disgusting, but everything else looks great. The bike park looks fantastic.
Hell yeah. All right. I shouldn't be doing this for too long. What was the plan, though? Do you know?
I don't know. Both my phones are dead, so I'm not sure what's going on. I need to at least shower. I'm going to plug in. And why don't you call Michael right now and find out what's going on?
Well, I'm doing this, but I'll let you figure that out, and I'm not going to be much longer, so.
All right.
All right. I love you, baby.
I love you too.
Bye-bye. That was the wife. So the wife, for those of you who don't know, she does a lot of community-based stuff. So she's on not our Parks and Rec committee for where we live, but maybe it is Parks and Rec or something like that. But anyway, no, the Lompoc Trails, she's part of the Trails committee. So she's part of that, and then she does just a bunch of community outreach stuff. It's quite possible that she's going to run for city council in the next year, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. She likes to do a lot of stuff. So today she was at a bike park that we have in the area, and it's privately owned and kind of it's kind of maintained by an organization or whatnot. So that's what she was doing, was helping that organization clean up the bike park and make it suitable for children to ride their bikes. So there we have that. Okay. I know we were talking about something before, but any other case, yeah, when you mirror things over, oh, that's what I was talking about. Yeah. So I don't know if I want to run it too close to the edge there because it will be very much right next to these guys here. So even like this one here, I'll probably cheat it up a little bit. Now, another thing that you could do, you have to think of the space that you're working in, right? So it is very, very safe and sane actually to even run it up in here, the HT that is. And the reason being is that there's this aisle right here, right? There's nothing going on, and you've got that distance right there between it plus the thickness of the G10 and then the height of the resistor off of that in and of itself. You know, so you've got almost after everything's all said and done, you got damn near a half of an inch of air gap between even just the component and the wire that's running underneath there. So again, the big thing is to try to minimize surface area contact and trying to gain as much space as you possibly can. Where it gets problematic for like this one here, as I've mentioned, is running it down this way to reduce the number of incidents that it has with something else is difficult because this row of turrets right here is pretty much right next to this row of tube sockets. So this one here, I'm probably going to end up just running up and over and then shoot it down like I did before. It will be non-incidental. It's going to cross these two wires whether I want them to or not. There's no way around that. It has to cross over these two wires. Now, something that you could do if you really were concerned about it and wanted to make distance is instead of running the wire flat against the board, which I tend to do, it's just the most secure that way. It doesn't rattle as much. You could, in theory, create like a little, horseshoe out of it or something. More ads. I'll be damned. So they're doing mid-roll ads, I guess. Sorry, guys. Got to make a buck somehow. Pay me, YouTube. So it's kind of weird how they always put the ads in like the worst spot too. Like you could be right in the middle of a very poignant, conversation or something like that, and ad time. But does that make sense? Kind of what's going on now. So I think what I'm gonna try to do is shrink this down just a little bit more. I'll put it right there, and I think that is a good. It wants to snap out. We're gonna put it right there. Oh, good. All right. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate that. All right. So let's quit lollygagging here. Apparently, my friend wants to do some barbecuing. So I have a friend. He's the one who owns the Purple Hazel. We saw, if you're a member, you saw a more intimate video of that amp recently. But if you're not a member, you won't have seen it unless you've gone to the one of my build videos. I have a build like chronologue that you can watch, and it talks very much about that. So in any case, 22 gauge is what I use. 22 gauge is more than enough for 99.99% of the amp. Now, the only spot where it might be wise to go larger is in the power tubes, which right now you can't see them, but they're down there. Now, realistically speaking, the power tubes don't draw that much current that you have to worry about it. Maybe an amp or two. EL34s do draw a little bit more current, so I am going to go with 20 gauge. The preamp tubes, they draw like 300 milliamps each. It's pretty much negligible. I think it's like 375 milliamps a piece. So, you got 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. So you've got 1.5 amps on that whole thing, right? Worth of heater current. This stuff here at whatever, I think it's rated for 4 amps or 9 amps, depending on how you look at it. It's 600 volt rated wire, but it has plenty of current capability for the heaters. It does not get warm. Just trust me on that. Romania. Okay. Bucharest, capital city, but I moved to a small village in the mountains. Well, I talked about it the other day. It baffles my mind how, of all the people that are interested in what I got going, they're all from some other country. I don't get it. Anyway, let's get busy. I apologize. I'm gonna probably kind of neglect you guys a little bit, and I missed a turret. I missed one turret. There's another one that needs to go right there. Boomer! Hold on. We can fix this. So I missed 2 turrets. And I'm going to use my other hand because my freaking current one is really pissed off at me right now. It does not like the decisions I've made. Sorry, I was wiggling it back and forth because I don't want anything rattling. And as you can hear, there is nothing rattling. Okay. So that's this guy. Wait. No, that was right. I missed yet another one here. We're still short yet one more turret. Golly. Well, you guys get to watch me get full of fail today. I don't know how I managed to miss 2 whole turrets, but it seems to me I was pretty dang close on my turret count after all. All right, nothing rattling. Because, yeah, we're good. All right, so this is the, yep. Okay, so this is going to jump from here to there. This is upside down now. And that is a ground. So now with the grounds, there's not that much current at all in any of the grounds, so you can pretty much get away with 22 gates the whole way. So more or less the way I pull that off is, because it's going to go like this. I keep trying to do it. I just kind of guesstimate a little bit of distance wider. Basically the width of a turret thing is realistically all you need. So you just go from one end of the turret to the other where it's squashed out, and that will generally be enough that once you fold it over, it'll do what it needs to do. So I just strip off a little bit on the end, and I do use my teeth. I apologize. It just makes it easier. There we go. Put those to the side there. So then you end up with a little thing like that, right? Kind of try to get it as straight as you can, and then you can fold the ends down. You can pre-tin if you'd like, but I find it best to wait until after. And in this case here, we ended up a little bit short. So I furged it a little bit. Let's see here. We might be able to salvage that. I don't mind it sticking out a little bit. It's just going to fight me. Today's just not going to be my day. Maybe I just need to go barbecue after all. There we are. So there it is. Just kind of lays in there. And what we'll do later is go back and then, what's the word I'm searching for? We'll do a couple different things. First and foremost, of course, we'll solder all those things down on each end, and then we'll place the wire kind of where we want. And then another fun part is cleaning everything up. But there you go. That's how that's going to sit, right? And then we just keep on keeping on. So this one here is going to talk to that one there. Looks like, yeah, the one that's in line with that. So we'll just kind of do something like that. I've yet to find a crimper that works really well with this Teflex stuff here. So the downside of this Teflex is, even though it's 22 gauge and this thing has 22 gauge for the thing, it just doesn't quite cut it all the way through. I don't know what it is about it. It fights. It's the only reason I use my teeth. And that I really don't care for this Teflex stuff. But you cannot melt this freaking Teflex wire. It will, I swear to God, it'll handle like freaking a million degrees. Some pretty impressive stuff, to be honest. All right, there we go. So that one fit a little bit better the first time around. All right, so now we're going to go to the center. So we're going to go from this one here to that one there. That's what it looks like. And actually that is incorrect. This one goes this direction. So this one's actually a little long. A little long. Oh, all right. Well, my apologies. I'm going to cut this one and we'll just strip it back. That is the downside to looking at these things upside down. You will get it wrong. I bet that looks sexy, didn't it? Wow. This is the less graceful part. So now you know why I was always doing the sped up stuff in the videos. I was doing like the not stop motion, but you know what I mean, like time lapse or whatever you want to call it. That's why, because this part is freaking brutal. And I really try to do a good job, like making like everything all nice and tight and clean and pretty and stuff and things. There we go. All right. Then we're going to go from here to there, as best as I understand it. All right. That is correct. We're going to go from... Oh, I still got it wrong. Wait, what? Did I miss one? Another one? Oh, I did miss another one. No, I didn't. What am I reading wrong here? No, I'm not reading anything wrong. That is correct. Then that one is going to go to the next one. Okay. My apologies. I didn't do anything wrong. I need to just go to bed. I need to go back to bed. I'm tired, everybody. It's apparent that Luke is not all there today. And he's having a tough time. He's having a tough time. Oh, boy. You could add one. Oh, okay. I'm glad you guys are learning stuff. I appreciate the banter. I appreciate it. I do. So you could add one. No effects loop, quite any of the band project. Channel for a long time. Tips and tricks. All right. So we're going to go to this one, to that one. Oh, man, I don't see how well that worked. It worked really well that time. And then that last one just jumps from here to there. Yay, that one's a shorty. Just a little shorty. All right. I thought about getting one of those ones that does the, you know, like you stick it in the end and you just like, you know, you crimp it and it just goes and does all this for you. But I've never had much good luck with those things. But one of these days I'm going to find one because it would probably make my life a little bit easier, to be honest, to have something like that. And did I make this one too short? No, we did not. It's good. It's good. Good and tight. Aha! Now, we got another one here that's a little bit difficult because it goes up and over, and I believe it goes to not that one, but to this one. But I want to go up and over. So what I mean by that is that we need to connect from this one here over to this one over here. And now there's a couple different ways that you could go for that, but I think it just makes sense to go around. Let's get this other long one that we need to get. I think it goes from here. It kind of goes at the same angle to there, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it would go from here to there. So let's get that one in, and we'll come wrap back around on that. front upper teeth, yeah. I'm just using it to hold the wire while I pull. But it's probably, it's obviously not the right way to do it, but it's like this Teflex stuff is pretty gnarly. Like I could not hold it with my finger and strip it unless I have enough length of wire to like hold on and pinch it like in my hands like that or something. This stuff is some stout stuff. All right, I'm pretty sure that this one goes from here to, was it that one? Pretty sure it was that one. Yes, it's best I can tell, it's the right way. Come on, baby, sit tight. All right, so now what we need to do is get one that goes from, it should be, yeah, it's that third one there. And that one will go up and around and over. Because I do have an open hole. I should have 2 open holes. So there's open hole number 1. So it goes from here, excuse me, over and up to there. So let's go ahead and make that a possibility. Sit in your home. So this one is going to be a little interesting because it's going to kind of come up and around. So this one here, you just kind of got to like try to fit it. And then you're just going to make it a little bit longer than you think you need to for ones like that. And get back in your home. I know I cut it. Where the hell did the cut piece go? Oh, it's still there. All right. We're probably not going to get too much further than this today, boys and girls. I'm sure that the one girl that was here, Bindi, the one lady, I should say, that was here, is probably long since gone. I'm boring. Spent electrons in the house. What's going on, dude? Good to see you. Thanks for popping in. I know you'll be here for at least a few minutes. So these ones here where you got to do like multiple bends are generally a little more challenging because you got to kind of like work them around in such a way where they stay put. And let's see, yeah, we're not even close right now, so we're just gonna, there's like a bug or something crawling on me, isn't there? There we go. Something like that, right? And then what you end up doing afterwards is going back and like working it around somehow. It's a pain in the butt to do these ones because they always end up doing some weird, like they don't ever want to fit the way you put them in there. But we know that it'll fit. It's just a matter of making it fit right. And they never stay freaking put. There it is. Something like that, right? So hopefully it'll just stay put later on. But for now, that's where that's going to go. I don't like gluing them down. I know like some of the other guys out there will just put like a dab of super glue or something. I don't like doing that because it doesn't help with anything like repairability wise later. It's, in theory, you should never have to get back into this thing to mess with it. But boy, oh boy, if you did, and you needed to get that wire out of there and you were trying to do it without taking it off the turret, you know, taking the turret board out, good luck. At least this way you can heat up the turret enough, stick something down in it, and it'll pop it out, right? And then you get to the other side and pop it out, and then, you know, worst comes to worst, you can run the wire across the top of the turret board. Like if you had to do some sort of repair later on. That's the hypothetical on it. All right, so let's see here. We got another couple jumpers to do. We got one that's going to go between those two there. We also got one that this one jumps. It looks like it goes from that one. Well, that's weird because it should have gone up and over it. Oh, no, that is that one. Never mind. So these two need to jump together. Oh my goodness. So what else is going on in everybody's worlds? You got something else going on there, Vessel? Are you doing another build? I know that you just finished up your slow. I know that Riley, you finished up your slow. You got another one like already on the books, ready to go, or what's your plans? What's your plans? What we got coming up? Do tell. Do tell. All right, so this one here is going to go from... This one's going to go from here, and it's going to jump over this guy, and it's going to go to this, not this one, but the second one. So this one needs to come around and jump to there. Yes. And then this one's going to go from there to there. Yes. And then this one is going to go from here to there. So let's keep moving down in a line. So this is not exciting. This is not exciting. For those of you who are just stopping in, oh man, I really pissed it off now. Managed to bump all my wires out. Did a lot of work for nothing because they keep popping out. I would refrain from soldering these in as you go along. I know it's nice to be able to put these things in place and not bump the board and then have them all pop back out. But the reason I would say refrain from soldering at this point is that if you make a mistake, you're going to have to undo the solder anyway. And then you're going to have some ugliness going on because that turret board will, no, that turret and that spot on the board will never be the same again. So just, you know, little things like that, right? Try to minimize that kind of stuff, I guess is what I'm getting at. Holy hell. Total fail here. Like every single one of these things popped out and went somewhere else. Now I got to remember where everything went too. So this one's going to go to that second hole, and it's going to go, I think it's to there. Then I don't remember where this jumper went. I know it goes a short distance. It goes to this third one right here. There it is. And then that one goes to there. This one went from here to there, I believe is what it was. Something like that, if I'm not mistaken. All right, and now we got another one that's going to jump from, looks like from here. So it looks like it's going to jump from, not that one. It's this one to this one, I think. No. It's internal. It's like this one to that one or something. But it shouldn't be. They should be closer together. It's those two is what it is. So these two here have a jumper. That's what it is. Maybe what I should have done, which probably would have been smart, is to lay out a piece of paper with the invert of this. That's another thing that you can do when you're trying to mirror these things, I guess, is just create the mirror. It makes it a lot easier than trying to look backwards and upside down. I made some modifications to the SLO. Should be really, yeah. Huge improvements. All right, that's good. We like improvements. I guess it's probably a little hard for you to explain those improvements here, but I wouldn't try to stop you from trying. This one I made just a little on the long side, which is not a problem. So what you do is you just pick one of these sides here, and you just shave just a little more of that sleeve off. Nothing like the taste of metal in your mouth. Watch, this is when you find out there's some like crazy like cancer causing stuff, and you know, everything causes cancer though. Everything causes cancer. I haven't found anything yet that doesn't. True story. So when I was a kid in high school, we had a teacher, we called him Dr. Death. That was his nickname. And it was more or less that everything would kill you. So we were having an ice cream party one day, and one of the kids brought the little sprinkles that you put on ice cream and stuff like that. And he took all the sprinkles away, and everybody's like, why? It's just freaking sprinkles. He's all, no, it's got this, that, and the other in it. It'll cause cancer. It'll kill you. But interesting seeing how much resistor hiss you'll get over your 220K. I don't think I'm going to have a problem. I don't usually get much hiss, if any. Now, keep in mind, I put 220 there. I may not need it. However, I'm almost positive I will, but I'm not too concerned. So, truth be told, like this guy right there, I ended up having to put a 1 meg grid stopper in it. Now I do have a bypass cap over the top of it to help get some of the high frequencies over. It doesn't hiss at all. Like it's clean and quiet. So I imagine that it just depends on where it is inside the amp that will kind of really determine. So I guess we got a chance here. This is a teachable moment. But if there's a resistor combination in your amp that's going to cause any amount of noise, it's going to be this guy there and the grid stopper. So we do have to have a grid stopper there. Now I didn't show it, I just put a wire there, but there will be a grid stopper there. I use as low a practical value as I can, or none at all if I can even get away with that. But it's smart to always put something there at least. But the larger you go there, the more hiss you will get. Another spot that will cause some sort of issues is obviously the first grid leak. So that guy there, of course. And then subsequent ones, the more inline resistance, of course, the more shot noise you're going to get. But no, I won't actually. So interestingly enough, generally the way that I bias this thing here and how it comes out of here, I get about 9 volts with a single coil. With a single coil pickup, I'll get about 9 volts on the pushing over this capacitor here, coupling cap that is. So I only get about a 9 to 10 volt swing, not 20 something volts. So maybe that's why I've been lucky in not having that much noise, because there's just not that much voltage to get any shot noise with. But maybe, I don't know. I hope it doesn't cause a problem. It shouldn't. Obviously I lifted it out of a Dumble schematic, so I just put the value that they had there in that spot. If I can get away with not having one at all, I'll do it. But historically speaking, there's enough voltage out of any triode, 12AX7 triode, to drive the subsequent, triode into distortion of some sort. I think it takes about 3 volts. I think it's about 3 volts, something like that, peak to peak, to garner some level of distortion out of the next triode or grid of the next triode. So I guess it depends on how it's biased, of course. If you biased it pretty cold, that might change things up a bit, but we'll see. I don't know. But I don't think I'm going to be getting 20 volt. I don't think I'll get a 20 volt swing out of it. I could be wrong, though. I don't know. Historically speaking, I don't tend to have a problem. That's all. So this one needs to go that way. So this one's going to go... Oh, man, that one I got to connect 3 to, huh? Yeah, well, whatever. We're going to just do it. We're going to get it. So for those of you who don't know what Riley's talking about, a resistor has... I can't remember what the exact names of the... there's 2 different types of noise. There's Johnson noise, and then there's... I think they call it shot noise or something like that. So Johnson noise has to do with that voltage drop that he's talking about. So the amount of electrons that flow through that resistor. And then there's shot noise, which has more to do with like how those electrons flow through that type of resistor. So a pure wire wound resistor is technically the best type of resistor to have, with some caveats. A pure wire wound resistor has inductance to it because it is a wire that is, has some level of resistance in it. So that one will cause inductance, and you can, if it's near something that it shouldn't be, it'll cause some issues. The other noise, the shot noise, is more about the material of the resistor. So you probably heard of like carbon composition, carbon film, and metal film. Metal film obviously being the quietest because it has the least shot noise. Right? And then you've got, and I use all metal film too, so that might be another thing. Now, technically speaking, metal oxide's even better still than metal film in regards to shot noise and Johnson noise and stuff like that. It's just they're not very nice looking, I guess is the term I would use for it. But so now we need to get from here up into there. So I gotta fit 3 in that thing, and I don't know that I want to go that crazy with it. What I could do is beeline it from there to there. That is kind of a ghetto way of doing it, but it is a little bit easier, and it keeps me from having 3 points in there. Historically speaking, it is very difficult to get 3 different wires to go into one joint. I'm going to give it a shot first and see, but like I said, historically speaking, it doesn't work very well. Carbon comps. I don't like carbon composition. I know that there are some people that will swear on their grandmother's grave that they sound better than, carbon film or metal film. There are people that will they'll die on that mountain. And that's fine. If you don't mind a little more hiss, because there's no arguing that it has a little more hiss, but and you don't mind its instabilities. And when I say instabilities, so carbon composition is not temperature stable. The warmer it gets, generally the more resistance it will build up. And then they are also not very time stable as well, which is to say that over time they will shift in value just because. And it has to do with how they're made and all that fun stuff. But carbon composition does sound different, and perhaps it sounds better, arguably so, but at what cost, I guess, is the big thing. To me, it's not worth the cost. That cost is noise and instability. And when I say instability, I don't mean like it's gonna, end the world, but, what you hear today, let's say you dial it today. So yeah, if you get it dialed today, there's no telling what it's going to sound like 10 years. It might sound different tomorrow afternoon. You leave it in the car for the afternoon heading to the gig or something like that. Or, you ramp up the AC, or you ramp up the heater during the wintertime or something like that. Whatever it might be, it's going to change with the temperature. It's kind of like a germanium transistor. It's just, if you so much as look at it funny, it changes value. So that's the only reason I'm not a huge fan of carbon comp. Now, carbon film is a little bit better, but it is still noisier, right? It's got more Johnson noise, or more shot noise, at least anyway. Sorry. But God damn it, you get in your freaking hole. See, this is why I don't like doing it this way. They will fit though. I'll give it that. It's going to be a bitch later on to get them all in there. But anyway, so I use metal film. Metal film is time stable. It is temperature stable, more temperature stable, I should say. and it's got the least shot noise out of them, of the typical values that you would use. So that is a me thing. Obviously, not everybody feels that way, and I can't convince everybody, obviously, but there are just some things that are worth keeping simple. So this one's going to go from there to there. I'm going to cut it a little on the long side. It's always easier to take some back. It's a fast CC. Second order one, DC's applied. They're not worth the hassle with noise. I don't think so. Carbon comp, yeah. I haven't found any mojo in them. And like I said, even if you find the mojo today, it might not be there tomorrow. And I think that's probably what makes a lot of these vintage amps do the thing that they do, is that, you know, they came with carbon comps in them, and over the years that value has shifted, and when they shift, it shifts in a direction that works for it, positively or negatively. The thing that sucks about these vintage amps is I think a lot of people think, oh, it's vintage, so it's got to be good. No, I think what it really is that the ones that manage to stand the test of time are the ones that you hear about. Yeah, I made that thing like way too long. You know what I mean? Like, the ones that have stood the test of time are the ones that you hear about. So that's no more, no less, right? The good ones are the ones that are out there. The ones that people buy and sound like doo-doo and nobody ever hears about. Well, nobody ever hears about them because they probably weren't that good to begin with. Carbon comps in my champ. I couldn't hear a bit of it. You probably won't, honestly, when there's only a few. A champ is a very simple circuit. Like, there's not a whole heck of a lot of componentry in there. A prime example of that is like the one that I did. I did like the little Champers build. It's called the Dirty Little Bastard is what that amp is actually called. But building it better than Fender did, that build series I did, that was a Fender Champion 600, which is essentially a Fender Champ, but they did like a fixed bias, not a fixed bias. They did a fixed EQ circuit in it. So they put like a bass, mid, and treble like circuit, and they built it hard into that amp. So it had a static tone control, if you will. It sounded fine, but I did an A/B behind it, or from my build to the Fender one, and it wasn't like that far removed. The differences that you heard were more in the modifications that I made. So it's tough to say. It's not any one thing. That much I can tell you. It is the sum of all parts. But if you don't have enough parts, there's not a whole sum to come across. So I wouldn't be surprised if, like you say, it didn't change that much or appreciably. What I think you'll find, like if you were to, document it over time, is, if you were able to have both of them at the same time, right? I think what you would notice is that the one that has the metal films or the carbon films or whatever you put in there versus the one that has the, the carbon comp parts in it, the one with the carbon comp parts is going to just sound different on different days, right? It'll be a moving target. And I need to make that a little longer. Some days, like one day it'll sound great. The next day it might just sound like just a little off or different. Pulled carbon comps, huge stash. I don't have any. I don't own a single one. I've never been a fan of them. Another thing that's a downer with carbon comps is they are flammable. So when those things go up in flames, they go up in flames. Like a blaze of glory. And I'm just thinking of that, is it Bryan Adams? A blaze of glory. What's that movie that came out of? Young Guns or something like that? This one here, I need it to get around that. So I'm going to kind of go in like a little arc. So I'm going to be a little fancy with this one. And I'm also going to make it a little long. The old Alan Bradby's. I don't really mess too much with the different ones. I like the Dale Vichys, and it's not that I think they are better than all the other ones out there. It's just it's a known quotient. Like, you know that they're good. They're inarguably good. That's it. No more, no less. That, and I think they look good. I like that they have the value written on them. Not that I care about that, but you know, the value's written on it, and they look good. They look the part, and they are highly reliable. I have not had any problems with them whatsoever. Not that I have problems in general, but you know, I want to avoid problems if I can. So get in your home. There we go. We're almost done with this side. As we're hanging out here, we're almost done. I got one more thing I got to run here. I believe it's got to go from here straight down. It's over, and then from there it's got to go down. And then that one needs to jump over. Yes. Built was cheap, ordinary parts. Honest to God, I think I 100% believe you. The Woody back there, that's made with the cheap metal films, you know, the generic ones or whatever. Sounds great to me. I mean, it's even using the cheap generic capacitors. You know, those yellow ones that don't even have a name written on them. They're just yellow. Sounds great. Good enough for me to go, that's it. The only reason I go with the Zozos and stuff like that is just inarguable. Like, nobody's going to sit there and scoff at it and go, ugh, you use Zozos. Ugh, cheap piles of shit, right? Nobody's going to do that. Even if they don't sound better, I can't. Honest to God, I think this one sounds better than some of the other ones I built. I got 2 others over there that I was doing some other experiments with. So I have 3 of these sitting in my shop here. And I did one with regular metal films, but I used the Zozos. And I did another one with the Dale Vichys and the Zozos. The Zozos, or whatever the frick they call them. Zozos. But the one with the metal film, the cheap generic one, the cheap generic metal film, sounds freaking amazing to me. And they all use, you know, the JJs, of course, but not everybody likes the JJs. And then this one is going to... Did I goof that up? No, I didn't goof that up. That's right. That's interesting. Yes, okay, that's where I went wrong. Although it doesn't freaking matter, though, does it? Technically, it does not matter. But this one is supposed to go here. And if I could get you to cooperate. This is painful. You guys, I'm sorry, but this is freaking painful. I would not be sitting here watching me right now. I guess if I can banter enough, maybe we can keep it interesting. So just to clarify my thoughts on the whole JJ thing. I know I use a lot of JJs, and I kind of promote them, I guess, if you will. I have not had many problems, if any, at all with JJs. Now, lately, I've had a couple that have failed prematurely. But one of the fails, I mean, the amp had been out for 1.5 years, and every time it goes up, it's turned up to 11. Like, that thing is always cranked. Always. It never has played a day in its life at bedroom volumes. The gentleman uses an attenuator and all that jazz. Hell yeah, let's go. Wires and heaters work together. Tandem. We're doing this in tandem. All right. So, you know, when I saw the tube red plating, I was like, hey, we got to, you know, do some work on your thing. I was not like upset with JJ. Like, it's a lot to ask a tube to work that hard all the freaking time. Now, how do I want to do this here? I still got some more work to do here. I need to do, I think all 3 of those need to go together. So those 2 go off, and then the next 3 jump together. At least I think they do. Yes. So I need to do a jumper, and a jumper. Now, there is a way that we could do this. I hate wiring heaters myself, yes. I would agree. I concur. Although, admittedly, I kind of hate doing what I'm doing right now a lot too. Like, it's just such a tedious freaking little task. Like, it's just, like, is there anything else that we could possibly do? Anything else? Like, this is what you get. I need to cut down a little more of that. But yeah, I got a pair of electro harmonics preamp tubes recently. They sound fine. They don't sound that much better or worse. They work, right? It's not like, oh my god, there's that much difference. My buddy's, you know, the one that I changed out the whatchamacallits, the tubes that I was just talking about in. He's happy as can be with them, but I can't say I noticed anything spectacular. So there's that one. That one goes direct. That one jumps off that way. And then these 3 need to connect together. One more jumper there to go. That one actually got made really well. It just plopped right on in there. That's kind of, so I guess where I was going with that is that even, let's say you like rubies, right? If you like ruby tubes, there's a 33.33% chance it's coming from JJ anyway. If you like Mesa branded tubes, there's a 33.33% chance it came from Mesa or JJ anyway. Right? So JJ is an OEM supplier, if you will. Most of the brands that are out there, I believe Sovtech included, don't make their own tubes. They source them from the big 3. There's kind of a 4th player in the game, as I understand it. I don't remember who they are. I think it's PS Vane or Svane or whatever the hell you pronounce it as. Svane is a Chinese brand. Shangguang or whatever the hell they are, that's one of the other major suppliers. That one's a Chinese brand. And then you have the EHX brand, which it's made out of the Reflector factory, I believe. And I believe Mollard is made out of the Reflector factory. So that one's EHX owned, but they have they just bought all the names. So I think they have Sovtech, Mollard, and a couple of the other ones out there, right? Of course, EHX branded stuff as well. And then you got JJ. And then JJ is JJ, and they still also provide OEM stuff to everybody, more or less. So it's almost impossible to really know who the hell does what. But so this one here, we've got options. I don't necessarily have to run it all the way over there, but I think it would be best to get it into that point right there. So that's what I'm going to do. This one's kind of an important ground. I don't want this one to be frickin' around. So we're going to go all the way up and around, and that's got to go into that point there. So I'm going to cut this one a little long. It's going to be a little ugly. I don't like it, but whatever. So that's why I don't really bother with the other 2 brands. It's like the Mullards, they're fine. There's nothing wrong with them. But I can't say that JJ's are bad. Xiaoguang, I don't know that it's Chinese crap though. They're not horrible. They sound alright. Maybe not in every amp. Every amp's a little bit different, I guess. I don't know. Ooh, boy, did I hurt myself on that? Like, maybe I cut it a little too short. Any tube that is cheap and just says China on it, more than likely came out of Xiaoguang, out of the Xiaoguang factory. Just FYI. I guess you could say I don't really care as long as it sounds good. I mean, a good tube is any tube that doesn't make noise and lasts longer than, you know, getting through the honeymoon phase. This one needs to go to here. And it needs to go up and into there. Maybe I'll run it out of this one after all. Maybe. Let's see what I can do. I'm in debates, everybody. I'm debating. Technically speaking, it should come from this one. But it also means going... I should have made it just a little bit longer, apparently. But actually, it really should go straight out of that guy. Maybe I just need to do it from here. I'm going to do it. I'm doing it. I'm doing it my way. We're going to go right freaking here. It's going to make me work. Sorry, this is painful. Painful. And that means well, I guess we could come out the end here. Not that we want to, but I am going to cut it a little bit shorter. There we go. We're gonna work this out somehow. That's where we're gonna go with that. Come on, baby. Come on, girl. Do the locomotion with me. It'd be funny watching Luke wiring his heaters. My heaters do look pretty good when I'm done with them. Just saying. I mean, this looks like hell right now, but these wires are all loose and just floating. It looks really good when you're done. It's the end product, dang it. It's the end product. I'm doing this in real time. This is how painful it is. This is what I do. All those products that you've seen me create so far, this is what I've done to some degree or another. And all the pain and everything that goes with it. Because it is brutal. Because I try to sit there and make it be as good as it can possibly be. For better or for worse. And this thing's just going to fight. Anyway, there we go. Damn you. Damn you all to hell. Freaking wire came out. And a wire jumped ship here. And we've only done half the freaking amp at this point. I don't know how much more I have in me, though. We're probably not going to end up soldering today, to be honest. Predominantly because it sounds like I need to go to a dinner. It is 4 o'clock at the moment, too. Hopefully it's not too late. He called me earlier, but I was in the middle of getting stuff done, so I was not in a spot to answer the phone anyway. And then I was like, I'll get back to him, but I got to get this live done here. And then the wife comes in and she's like, didn't you talk about dinner? I was like, not technically, although I think that's what he was calling about. And I knocked a freaking cable out, a wire out. Oh my God. Today is just, everything's starting to fall apart right now. Everything's falling apart right now. It's not fair. All right. Come on, all your things. Get back in your little holes. Wow. This is freaking getting special. Starting to get annoyed. I'm not even sure that that one's right. I just want everything to go in their freaking holes. With no arguments. Alright. Now we're kind of back to normal again. Sort of. So this is what I mean, that these things don't work really well trying to get 3 of them into a single turret like hole. You can do it, it will do it, but it's not easy. There we go. I think that takes care of all the grounds if I'm not mistaken. So what we're doing here, if you look at the schematic for a high watt, they tie the cathode follower stage in its driver back to the first node, which, excuse me, the first node is here. Or if you're looking at this side of the screen here, it's here, right? So that's our first node there. So this guy right here is the driver stage for the Pi. This guy here runs from the HT that comes from the first node. So you'll see here it comes after that dropper and meets here. This goes to that first node. And then it runs all the way back and goes to here, which powers this set of tubes, right? The other one's a done up, it's, you know, cathode follower. So the plate's shared here, right? That's what gets those taken care of. Now, that then therefore means that the grounding node for this tube and all of its components, which is these 3 right here. So these, well, these 3 rows, I should say. All these components here and the volume that attaches to it, so this, in this case, the master volume, need to attach to the ground point, which powers it, you know, the node that powers it, which is back over here. So in theory, it should probably be right there at that junction, which is where I put it, as opposed to there. So all I did was move it from this point here to this point here. So I just did a minor adjustment. That's what we've done. So kind of just going around, I should have, and then it jumps up. So dump, dump, and then it jumps up. Now what I'm noticing here is that I've got 2 jumps that go to that same node, and that is incorrect. I should not have that go to 2 different nodes. So this extra wire here for some reason. And I can't remember where it was supposed to go. I think it was supposed to go across the top is what it was. So this one is an extra imposter. And I think it was supposed to go there is what it was. Let me see. So it comes off of that. That goes down. No, it does not go there. Where the hell does that wire go then? It must go to this other spot down there. That's what it is. It's supposed to go somewhere else. So I must have done something wrong because this guy is an imposter right now. Which is probably to say that it was... So what else was I supposed to run? We've got this guy here, which is supposed to go to the second one over from there. So that is 1, 2. That is correct. This one is supposed to go back, and it does. And it does. That's correct. And then it comes up on the other side directly from that one. That's correct. So I don't know what the hell I was thinking here with this one. This one here, there's these 2 here. It's supposed to jump one of these, I think, is what it is. So 2 of those are supposed to jump actually over. But it would go more like this. So I don't know how I got it wrong, but that is supposed to go to one of those is what it is. So that's whatever. I'm going to cut it shorter and we're going to make it work for that. And then we'll jump the other one, finish that up. Then we'll be done with this freaking series here. We're gonna go right there, I think. Shh. Mind your own. Siri heard me. And she's like, I don't have my statistics up, so I don't know how many of you are actually in here watching this right now, but I can't imagine.
Sorry, I don't understand.
Cancel! That's all you need to know, girl. Get out. I'm a little mean to Siri sometimes. Will this one work? No, it won't work. Let's see if we can use that one somewhere else. Dang it. Okay, there we go. All right. I'm just kind of curious. Hold on, I'm going to do something here. I'm going to open up another dock. Boom. There's 11 of you in here? Oh my gosh. That's insane. Still here. All right. Well, thank you guys. You guys are super troopers. Super troopers. Thank you. Thank you for sticking it out with me while I make freaking little plastic tube like things over here. All right, let's see here. Yeah, no, we're probably not going to be doing any soldering today, but much as I'd like to. Okay, let's confirm that this is correct. So I think I got all the ground connections I need to make. Currently, there's 2 that I need to run down still that jump to some turrets down here, but I want to just make sure we're kind of in line so far. So we've got our first jump, looks like here. So this is where we normally bust out like a checklist or something like that. Hey, DUT, do to. So we got this jump right here. That one I'll just go ahead and get this one out of the way. That's the one that goes here, and it jumps across all 3 of these guys here, which it does. And then it jumps over to this guy here. Yep, that is correct. This one here is supposed to jump over to this one, and it does. And then this one goes down and jumps over to that one, and it does. That's this one here. All right. And then the one straight up above that goes to what is supposed to be the second one over here, and it does. This next one back jumps back to here, which it does. And it looks like I was supposed to have one that went from here to there. I think that's where that imposter was actually supposed to go, was from there to there. So we need to make one that goes from there to there. So let's go ahead and do that right now. It was not an imposter after all. It was just not in its home. All right. Well, now we will have it going to its home. 14 viewers for 4 hours when I get a fretboard off a neck. Hey, man, I'll take anything I can get. I think my max number of viewers ever was like 20 or something like that. And it was for all of like 5 seconds. I think some people kind of get off on your pain. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're just watching you struggle. And, you know, it's like entertaining perhaps to them. Watching me do this, I cannot imagine is all that much fun, but I guess maybe what makes it tolerable is that you somewhat know me a little bit. At least the ones of you that are hanging out. If you don't know me, do post up in the comments there. You can say hi. It's okay. There's 13 of you, so I know I got more than the 3 of you that are chit-chatting here. Promotional plan. We make artist signature amps that no one asked for. I don't know about that, man. I don't know about that. This is an awful lot of work, as you can see. Like, trying to do really nice work is hard. It's hard. And it's especially hard when you freaking... As I've mentioned before, getting 3 of these things in a single hole is oftentimes fairly challenging. But we got that one. There we go. Okay. So there is an order in which these will have to go in. Okay, so that one goes back. That is this one here that we just did. We've kind of worked our way all the way down the line. This is this one here. This one is that one there. This one is that one there. Yep. And this third one should jump across. It does. Okay, cool. This one goes to the short side there. Now this one here is supposed to jump. Yeah, this one here is supposed to jump from there all the way down to this bottom turret here, if I'm not mistaken. Pretty certain that is correct. It's the one that goes to this center. So we've got, yeah, this one there has got to go somewhere. Because then the other one goes to the actual one that's kind of up the middle there. So there's two in a row right here. That's these two. So this one needs to go from here to there. And then there's another one that goes the other way. Or is it the other way around? I can't freaking remember. So this is the one that comes around the outside, goes in. So somehow or another, this one's going to get from there to there. So we're going to figure that out. I got to look at it. I got to look at it and figure out how I'm going to get it over there. So this one here is a little deceiving. So this one here that comes off of this first coupling cap, which is technically this one here. So this is our first coupling cap. This one here is the one that goes, it should go to this one, if I'm not mistaken. And then it goes down to this bottom one. So this one here goes all the way down, but it touches each one of those along the way. So let's go ahead and get that one out of the way, because I know that that one needs to be that. Freaking brutal. Brutal, 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 brutal. Just want to make sure I'm getting this right here. So we'll go to that one first. Just a little longer there. Stuck to videos. Now the videos are nice because you can go back and edit out all the bullshit, like me freaking hemming and hawing and making mistakes. That is the nice thing about being able to do videos, or doing the videos. But I don't know, like I wanted to do this one live so people can get an idea of what the struggle is. Like it's I'm fairly talented, right? Like I'm pretty mechanical, but I'm not so freaking, you know, coordinated or whatnot that I can't do it without making some sort of befuddlement of it. You know what I mean? Like I'm not a freaking alien. I am a human. But I wanted to make it so that there was like, you can actually see what the hell it is that you're getting. And the amount of trouble that goes into getting it that way, right? That was all. Now this one needs to go straight down to that one in the middle there. I'll be honest in saying that I was hoping I would do a slightly better job at not goofing things up and struggling, but you know, the struggle's real. The struggle is real. Now, another nice thing about live videos, I'll be honest, is that you do the video and it's done. Like you can do a 3 or 4 hour thing and it's 3 or 4 hours and you're done. Whereas sometimes doing a video, you put together your lesson plan or whatever your plan is for that video. You do that. Okay, so that other one comes from here is what it is. Technically it comes from here. And this one needs to come around and then go down to there is what it is. Yeah, so this one needs to come up and around. But you know, you spend a couple hours getting all the pre-work done, you know, making sure everything's all set up and kind of ready to go, etc., etc. But then you do the video, maybe it's an hour-long video, and then you got to do all the freaking editing and cleanup and stuff like that. And oh my god, So before I got OBS and was in multiple cameras and stuff like that, I had to shoot with my iPhone. And I was having a problem where with iPhone, I couldn't just shoot the video and then run into the house and upload it directly to my laptop. I had to wait. It seemed like it would make me wait a few hours to sync to the web or whatever the hell it does. You know, it syncs to iCloud or whatever it is. And then after it was done syncing to iCloud, then I could download it directly from my phone to the laptop or desktop, whatever I was working on. And then I could edit it. Well, I was editing with DaVinci, and DaVinci's great. It's, you know, Blackmagic Designs, you know, free video editing software. It's actually pretty dang good for what it is. Free. But oh my God, I'd spend, you know, an hour making the, you know, hour prepping the video, probably 2 hours making an hour-long video because you goof up a spot or two or something like that. And then you gotta freaking, I hope I didn't biff this. It seems a little short, but it is gonna make it. And then, you know, almost as long editing it. So if it was an hour-long video, it took you at least an hour to edit it, if not longer. Historically for me, it took longer. So, and then you had to render that video. And for me, it you know, I didn't have a supercomputer at the time, so it took fucking forever. So a 1 hour video took me like 5 or 6 hours to make. Then I got OBS. Yeah, right? Oh, what? 7 terabytes. Oh my God. So OBS is great because you can record directly to MP4. And I found a way where I would just do it, right? If I had an hour-long segment, it took an hour long, I would just do it and forget all the mistakes. I would just leave the mistakes in there, right? We're going to do this. And if I fudged up a spot or something like that, I would either reshoot the whole video, but it was great. As soon as you were done with that video, 15 minutes later, you could be uploading it to YouTube. So that was the fun thing about that. But then with the advent of the live and stuff, and that's where everything kind of made it more just so much easier for me. This is starting to get pretty ugly, as you can see. Now, luckily, I think we've gotten all the freaking black wires done at this point. So we've got these two here that jump down. Those are the ones that we just did. So bink, boom. And then we got this one that comes, instead of going through this one here, it goes around this way. And I can kind of show you what I mean by that. Maybe. I don't know where the freaking little stretchers are at. I probably placed them in the middle somewhere because, yeah, I must have placed them in the middle somewhere. Either that or it's a straight jumper and it doesn't have any of the Bezier curve things for me. Let's see here. That one goes back and up. Yeah, I think those are all of those. So let's start working with some of the red. Let's get the red wires done. So that's going to be for heaters there. If you wouldn't mind. The red should go a little bit quicker and there's a little bit less to do. And I think we're going to call it at that. So hopefully I'll be done by 5 o'clock. And the wife has not gotten in touch with me on anything yet. So I do not know where we're at with that. I would assume that she'd come out and tell me. All right, so we need to go. This one will jump over the top. Now that is just a ground, so I'm not that worried about it because it is just a ground. I was saying earlier that a way that you could abate some of those problems is to do something like this, where you just kind of loop the wire up in like a little hook, right? So if you're really worried about, you know, things touching things and you want to get some distance, you could leave it, you know, with a little bit of a loop so it hops over the wire. When it comes to a hot crossing a ground, I don't really worry about it that much. It's going to ground anyway, so it's going to always take kind of the shortest path, if you will. Whoa. Now, other wires that have signal and stuff like that, like real functional stuff in that regard, then yeah, you definitely want to see if you can make some space. So there's a couple of these. We're going to have some, you know, HT going across our this section right in here I was talking about. So this red wire here that's crossing over these two black wires there. That is our NFB, our negative feedback. So that potentially could cause problems. Not likely. It is technically a signal path, so you probably don't want to tempt fate too much, but I think we're going to be all right. I'm going to probably, with that particular one, I think what I'll do is I'll probably raise it up and give it some air so it has some space, because I don't want to run it along the face here. And, you know, I don't really want to get too crazy with it. So it would be just really simple to just go from here, give it like a little loop shape, and it just jumps from, you know, the one side over to the other. But for now, let's just work out all these other little bits here. And if you wouldn't mind, this Teflex stuff is pretty gnarly. It snags on the blades. All right. I think I need to give just a little bit more on that one. My little pile is growing. My little pile of empty tubes is growing. And I bent that in too far. There we go. And then we got one more jumper to go. That one's going to go down to the bottom. So that's going to go straight down. No, it's going to go down at an angle. Oh, the dangle. Kind of like that. Yes, like that. So yeah, OBS has been a life changer for me. This machine that I'm doing all this work on, it's like a mini PC actually. It's probably one of the meanest mini PCs out there at the moment. It is a super machine. I can shoot 4K on the damn thing with 3 cameras. It's nice. Now I don't have nice 4K cameras yet. I'm still working on that. My buddy Brian helped out and got me the desktop and, you know, stuff like that. He sussed all that stuff out for me. And let me tell you, he picked a good one, because it's a mini PC. You got to keep that in mind. We're talking mini PC, and it spanks. Like, it doesn't skip a beat. We've been shooting. Yesterday we had 6.5 hours or something like that of video. It didn't miss one frame. No drop. 0.0% of dropped frames. Like, none whatsoever. So it's freaking amazeballs in that regard. Now for this one, there's 2 ways we can do this. I need to get, so where's my other cap at? I can't remember which one it is. It's the one that's got an aisle in it. This is an aisle right here. Yes, it's this one right here. So it needs to go from here, and it needs to jump out both directions. And I still need to have this one here. So this is the one I'm actually going to connect it to. Yes, that is my dropping node. That is correct. So I can take it from here, but I don't want to have 3 that go into that spot. So I'm going to dump it into there, and I'll jump across. This is our second node right there. But I need to go from this point right here to that point there. And I think the way I want to do that is kind of like a little bit of a U that I was talking about. So it'll kind of go like something like that. So I'm just going to kind of cut a length of this, and we'll figure out how that's going to work in a minute. I want it to go inside a little ways, because I want to get it away from this edge there, because that's where all these tube sockets are going to be. Although, yeah, we don't want to get too close to those. I want to build some air, or space. I want to build some space. All right. So to those of you who are new, come on in, say hello. We got things going on here. I'm not very interesting. I'm not telling great stories today, but I told a couple of cool stories. I thought it is show and tell. I thought. I'm gonna go up a little bit, and then we're gonna work our way down. I might need to make this a little bit longer. We might have to use this for something else, to be honest. We're gonna find out though. So this will go right here, but I'm gonna put it in the hole like that, and then I'll leave it so that there's some air, and you can't really see, but it's like just basically sticking up out of the hole, you know, quarter of an inch or something like that, and then I can make it look pretty and do other stuff. So that's kind of what I'm going to do there. I think it doesn't look very pretty right now, but I want to get a little bit of distance on this, and I want to make sure it stays away from this outer edge as much as possible. These ones there I'm not too worried about, mainly because this tube right here really doesn't tend to have any problems. It already reduces noise by half anyway, just because of the way it works. So you can see that I got those jumpers that go across there. That is a parallel triode. That is how you wire a parallel triode. And I know Vessel and Riley want to try that out. I think you should try it. It's worth trying. Like, it sucks to eat up an entire tube just to get one triode stage out of it, but until you mess with it and kind of get an idea for how that circuit works, like how to make the most out of a parallel triode, it's amazing what it can do. Like, it's very receptive to cathode resistor changes. A lot of it, I think, is because of how you end up biasing it, or you know, the value of the plate resistor that you use has a lot to do with it. Typically speaking, with a parallel triode stage like that, you would have the values, and we kind of talked about this yesterday, and I've mentioned it in other videos, but you would have the values. So if your plate resistor here was, actually that's not the plate resistor, but if your plate resistor here is a, you know, typically 100K, you would drop it down to like a 56 or a 68K or something like that, right? Something along those lines, one of those two values. Well, you don't have to. I usually go with something like a 220 to 150, somewhere in there. Just depends how much I want to, you know, spank out of that stage. 100K works very well as well. So you don't really have to mess with it too much. But that means you're basically going with like a 200K on a standard triode. Yeah, it is cool for sure in that regard. And then the cathode, typically, you know, with a normal 12AX7 stage, you're supposed to put, you know, say a 1.5K or something like that. It's pretty well center biased or whatever, right? Well, you can put a 1.5K on this one as well, and it's pretty spanky, and it brings the beans without the noise. That's the big thing, is that no noise, or you know, half the noise at least anyway. But but if you go down to a 2.2 or 3.3K, you can really feel it. Like, it really works well when you play with the different values. It's more apparent, I guess is the word for it. So I like it, and I like how clean and quiet they are. Like, they don't distort as early. You can use a smaller grid stopper. In fact, you need to use a smaller grid stopper on them because they have twice the Miller capacitance, twice the transconductance and all that bullshit. But so I generally, you get your freaking butt back in your hole. So I generally run it 1.5 to 2.2K with 220K on the plate. Okay, so we got that. What else do we need to jump here? Not that, I want this. On the bottom end here, we need to jump this one to that. And this one is our crossover resistor here. This is our dropper. This is our dropper. So we actually need to get from here to there. And then we need to jump from here to there. And then we have the other one that jumps all the way across and goes into, I think it's that guy there or something like that. That one there will probably keep tight to the board because we can pretty much run it literally from here or there, wherever we take it from. But one of these two we'll take it from. And I think what I'm going to do is go up, and I'm just going to shoot it down through here. And then we'll angle it kind of downwards. We'll shoot it in towards that. So we're going to split those two, I think, somehow. I got to remember how it's going to be. Whatever it is. We got to get it down over to here somewhere. But for now, let's just get our jumpers taken care of. Luckily, there's not too many of them. We do got to go around this guy here, so we're going to make a little loop like that one up there. So I'm going to make this one a little bit longer than it needs to be, so we can loop around that thing. And Bath can't type, but have something profound to say. There is no better place to have a poignant thought than on the pot or in the bath. That's funny. Riley, you're funny. Profound. Am I going to be offended? Is that what you're saying? I'm teasing, of course. I have profound things to say. Oh yeah, that's going to be great. I think we're going to like that. Okay, that gives us plenty of space around that doohickey there. We won't pinch it. You do not, so just mindful for those of you who are doing this maybe for your first time, make sure you give yourself a little bit of windage around these things here for your mounting points. This one here, we'll probably tweak it over that way a little bit more once we get it, actually put together. But you do not want to pinch this wire right there. That is an HT rail, or the HT wire there for your front, your last node. If that gets pinched, you've got yourself a serial problem. Not a little problem, a serial problem. And you know what happens when you have a serial problem. You kill Lucky Charms and the cereal rabbit. I'm teasing. I was trying to make a joke out of it. It failed. Okay, so I need to jump from here basically over to there, because that is our HT, but I am going to run it a little. How do I want to do it? I think what I'll do is I'll just bring it up and around. I want to keep everything away from that front edge, because do keep in mind all these wires right here are basically up against that. What does the wife have to say? Can you please push my... yeah. She wants me to put her dash cam. She didn't say push, she said put. We're not going to do that today, but... hold on. Let me actually text her back. She's in the other room, but... what are we doing for Cav? Question mark. Yeah. All right. Sorry, not interesting. I guess I could just kind of loop it up like that. I just kind of want to keep it away from all that stuff. Although running it directly across the front is going to be kind of non-problematic as well, to be honest. No, we're just going to keep it simple. Let's just run it along the front there. It will not be a problem. I think we got enough spaces, so it'll work out. What I'll do is I'll make it so I can at least bend it a little bit, bend it up. So I'll make it a little bit longer than it needs to be, so I have some room to loop it. We're gonna be all right. It's gonna be okay, everybody. Now I could be in for some trouble, to be honest. I was not expecting this thing to be quite as tight as it currently is. So what I mean by that is that the damn it, this thing, that is going to be pretty later. It's not setting where it needs to be, but it will be pretty later. This thing is pretty freaking tight. Like, I don't know if you caught it earlier when you were watching or if you saw yesterday's episode, but those components are pretty tight to each other. Yeah, that's going to work nice, just like that. See, got a nice little curve there. So it's not too close to the pins, but not closer to the unprotected stuff in the middle of it there. We're going to be all right. That'll work. Now I think we've only got one wire left to go here, and then we got all these things kind of ready to do. But I'm going to have to call it a day. Right about then, it'll be 3 hours, and it'll be 5 o'clock. I'm going to come off of this note here, which is hot off of the cap. And then I need to go up this way, over, and I need to figure out which of these it lands at. I think, so it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there's an empty spot. That's the empty spot. And it goes to that one. So it needs to come up and over to that one. Am I missing one? Oh, I see. Okay, that's why. So I'm like looking at it differently, going, why am I not splitting hairs here? What it is I'm coming up through here. So I'm coming up through here and then shooting it down to here. So it's just going to make this nice little arc all the way around like that. Does that make sense? So I'm going to go ahead and remove this. So Riley's wicked wisdom. Right? O'Reilly's Auto Parts. Woo! Can't say that their advertising campaign didn't work, huh? All right. And I'm going to just use my teeth. I really want to get one of those mechanical like strippers, but as I was mentioning, I haven't had much luck with them. I don't think they work very well on this Teflex stuff. This stuff is like PTFE, I think is what it is. PTFE is like this, well, it's Teflon, so it doesn't melt. It's great for that, I'll tell you that much. It does not melt. But it is also very, very stout stuff. Very stout stuff. Okay, so this needs to go there. And I think I made this thing a little too short, didn't I? I thought I made this thing long enough. Apparently not. It is okay. We will use that for something else some other day. I don't know how, but somehow or another I made it a little on the short side. Don't worry, this stuff's only $1 a foot, all right? I don't know if it's quite that much, but it's pretty close to that after you factor in shipping and all that jazz. Now, I don't know what the hell I was thinking. I'm pretty sure I tried to make it so it was going to be long enough. It's going to basically go like that, and I thought I made it longer than that. So I'm going to leave it just a little bit longer, and we're going to cut it like out here. That should be more than long enough. And let's see how far off it is. It's like an extra inch. Whatever. Okay. Sit closely. Everybody, let's sit tight. Okay, here's what's going on. RE, triodes, pin 6, 7, 8 are quieter than 1, 2, and 3. So in your V1A, use 6, 7, 8 first. V1B, 1, 2, 3 second. Donations welcome. I am here all night. Now, why are they quieter though? It's due to the tube's internal structure. But in a parallel triode, so you're saying when you're wiring it as a normal triode, use the second half first before the first half, because the second half is quieter than the first half. Is that what you're saying? That's what I'm guessing that you're saying. Are quieter than 1, 2, and 3. So use 6, 7, and 8 first. So use the second V, use V1B, as opposed to V1A for your first triode. Now in my case, I'm running them in parallel. I haven't had the chance to play with that yet, but I don't doubt what you're saying. I can't recall, but I think one of mine are kind of done up that way. No, I wired it up conventionally. Originally, so here's an interesting factoid. Originally, this tube right here that you're seeing down in this lower corner here on the screen, I had it wired in the opposite direction. So that pins 1, 2, and 3 were actually 6, 7, and 8, the way that it was wired. But I needed to get some space in this zone here. I think it probably would have been negligible either way. But in either case, this guy here would have ended up having to go to the other side, and that's where it was problematic. It was like I got to run this guy here across more wires, and then this wire here had to go across more things. It was less crissing and crossing if I did it this way. And of course, as we know, the less crissy-crossy that you do, the better. So that's all. And yes, this time I actually made it the right length. So a lot of the times you can shape these things after the fact. So after you get it like built, or I should say soldered in place. So obviously like right now, it's not a good example because it's not like this thing here is going in places it shouldn't, but once you get it soldered in place, the wire won't run on you. And then you can actually do things like shape it and get it to stay put. And then another thing that I do is I use heat. Heat can be your friend. So I will take a heat gun and I will, I will heat gun it. And with the heat gun, I will then be able to get the wires to soften up and lock into a particular position. So something more like that. All right. So the only wire that I'm going to have that's going to lift up off the board and give some air is this one right here, this red wire here. So it's just going to lift off the board by like a 1/4 inch and then loop back around. These two being next to each other are not really incidental because this is ground wire. And then again, of course, as I mentioned, once these things are kind of locked into place, we'll be able to, we'll be able to do what we need to do. So not too bad. This is the waste that we had. You can't do it without making a mistake at least once or twice. I think for now, that might be it. I think that's what I got in me for today. It's been 3 hours. Check Dumble, Soldano, Randall schemes. They all use pin 6, 7, 8. A lot of them do, I've noticed. I didn't know it was for a particular reason or not. Ow! It's stuck! You evil little... It made me bleed. See a little pin? Little freaking thing? Went to go pick it up and it like... Prick. A little prick. Oh well. That's my right hand. That's the one without the calluses. This hand here probably would have just bounced right off. But I got a good amount of calluses on my fingers over here. But I have noticed that in some schematics. I never put that much thought into it, but that is good to know. Riley, you come to the table today. I'll have to check that out. I guess it doesn't really matter for how I'm doing this. So it's more important for your first tube more so than the second tube and third, or second and third or fourth stages and stuff like that, I can imagine. The only reason I did this here was I wasn't going to go with a cathode follower. I don't like cathode followers. This is a 5th stage right here. So you got 1, you got 2, 3, or excuse me, 4 stages. There's only 4 stages in the stamp, but this is 1, this is 2 and 3, and then 4. I could have made it 5. I thought about going with 5, but then I was like, no, we're not trying to make the world's largest like gang banger. Gain banger. All right. I did not say what you thought I said. Gain banger. But I didn't want to go that crazy. I didn't want to turn it into, even though we're going into an effects loop, I didn't want to turn it into a cathode follower for the effects loop. Especially knowing that I was going to go with blow up the layout a bit. Oh, so you can see it more? What if I don't want you to see it? Hold on, I'll blow it up just a little bit here for you. Are you gonna stay? Oh, you little shit. There. Now I've covered all my work, so you can't see my work. All right, so this guy here is just another parallel triode. I was basically going to end up having an extra triode, and I didn't want to use it as a cathode follower. So I set it up as another parallel triode. Now what's cool is that this one gives me a lot of options. A lot of options. As you can see here, I could fully bypass it. I probably will. I'll probably put a 4.7 underneath that guy. 4 UF or something like that. Whatever. But for the plate resistor on that channel, there's like a multitude of different things. That's the plate resistor there. I could go a multitude of different directions. I could put 100K. I go with a 220. I can do it more conventional and wire it more like a conventional triode would be done. So 56K or 68K. Cathode resistor, I could go with a 750 like you're supposed to, or I could go quieter. You know, we could multitude of different directions. But that one's going to be a fun spot to play with. Part of the reason I was saying the other day that you probably shouldn't copy the values that I had put on the schematic and apply it like gospel. They're just values. I had to put something there, right? I know that it'll work. It'll make noise with what you see there. But there's also some other mistakes in there. There's some other things that I'm not doing that way. This section up in here is not going to be wired the way that you see it. In fact, I'm quite positive this wire here is going to end up having to go over there or something like that. But whatever. So little things like that. I don't know. I think that's really all there is to it at this point. We've gotten through everything I was hoping to get through for today. I'm going to tell this thing to fit to screen. So bear with me for a second. So that's more or less what we were looking at, but now we don't really need to see that anymore. I'm going to button everything up today. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming in and hanging out with me. It's going to be another couple days before we can really do too much more. I might do a live tomorrow and we'll go through and solder all this up. But that's probably all the further we can get. I was hoping to get through bending all the components today, but we're 3 hours deep into this. I got other things I need to kind of get done, it looks like. So maybe what we'll do tomorrow if I do a live is we'll solder all this in, get this thing cleaned up and ready, and then start getting all the components and whatnot bent and fit, and we'll get those placed on here. That'll probably take another few hours. What do you got? Okay, so we're down to the gang banger or the glory hole. Ha ha ha. Right? Do keep throwing out names, everybody. Like, this thing has a comment section that is open almost immediately. We need a Tolex color. Like, we are getting to that point right now. I shit you not. Like, even doing this just 3 hours a day, this will be done by the end of next week. This will be a playable amp by the end of next week. The remaining parts that I need to install the power transformer and the other turret, you know, like the things, all that stuff is coming on Wednesday. Or it's supposed to be here on Wednesday. So, in theory, barring anything that really locks me up and keeps me from being able to do this, by this time next week, so a week from now, we should, in theory, be able to turn this thing on and make some noise. And we will do a live power up of this thing. So you'll see me go through the schematic and kind of check all the points out. You'll watch me just click the switch. I am evil. I do not bring things up on a Variac. I do not use a Solitium. I do not use a dim bulb. Like, I don't click that button up unless I'm pretty damn positive that there's not going to be any sparky boom boom. I know there's some people that say that it's bullshit and that I'm doing other work on the side. No, I am literally doing it. I take that leap of faith, click that switch, and that is that. So we'll go through obviously the biasing process and stuff like that and the whole bit. But that is, of course, barring no other issues. Like I said, I ordered some other parts. They should be here this coming week, which means that we have no reason not to be able to put this thing together. We still got a bunch of stuff inside of the amp to do. We still got to run heaters. So maybe tomorrow we can get the heaters done if we don't work on that, but you kind of get the idea. So there's some things to do, yet still I kind of want to wait to mess with this until I have more parts available. But we're gonna just, right now they're locked in well enough. I can do what I need to do. So in either case, go to the comment section, give up a Tolex color, red. We don't do black. I'm sorry, but Legacy does not do black Tolex. I am not a black box with a name on it. We do colored Tolex, classy colored Tolex. Now I have baby blue, I have a British racing green, I have a red Tolex. It looks kind of like the British racing green, except for it's red, so it's got like black hues to it. And I have there's one other color. I think I got, but I know I have a baby blue. Oh, I have some seafoam green. I don't know if I have enough to do a head. I'd have to double check, but I think I have enough to do a head of seafoam green. I'm kind of leaning towards baby blue myself. I think baby blue would be fun. Keep in mind, we are going with leather handles. Okay, so we got leather handles. I'm grabbing them right now. All right, so we're going with this color of leather handle here. Okay, so it's got a contrast with that. Sorry, I do leather handles. Little things like that though. Okay. In theory, there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to get this thing done by next weekend though. If not next weekend, it'll be first part, half part of the following week, which would put us, where are we at right now? Let's see where, got to give you one of those to part with. So this is where we're at now. So in theory, by the 15th or 16th, we should be able to be done with this. And if not by the 15th or 16th, that puts us maybe in the week of the 23rd or 22nd or whatever you want to call it. My goal is to have this amp in almost near its entirety built by April or finished by the end of April. I have yet to get a call yet. I may have I have at least 2 shows in April that I have to do. And if I have 2 shows to do in April, that means I got to tear the garage apart to do that. Which is definitely going to put a halt on being able to do this, but we need to get to the CNC machine so we can do that. I pretty much have the CNC files for this done already. More or less, it's just, expand things a little bit to suit the 8-inch style. I already have one set up for a 6-inch. I need to set one up now just to do the 8-inch, but that it doesn't take long because you just expand it a little bit. And then I don't know if I'm going to include you on that. It's already hard enough watching all this crap going on that I don't know that you'll want to watch me, literally doing something on a software. We'll see. Most people don't have the software anyway, so it's kind of pointless to sit there and actually show you. But we'll do an overview of it at the very least of what has gone on and what it takes to do that. Then we got the CNC machine. I know you won't want to hear that thing in live. It screams. More or less, it makes a lot of noise and it's not fun to listen to. So for that, the cabinetry, I'm probably not going to spend a whole lot of time showing you. We'll do more live stuff after the parts are cut. So I'll show you how it's going to get cut. We'll kind of get you into that. And then once it's put together and it's a box, and we'll go from there. I have to use a router table to corner the thing. I can't take you with me to do that, so you wouldn't be able to see me anyway. So little things like that obviously just don't help. But we got a lot to do in a very short period of time. So with that, I want to say thank you so very much. Take care. We'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.